Welcome to the Warrior Gamer Headquarters podcast. Lieutenant Colonel Ken Crigliano, your co-host.
Hey, thanks for having me. My name is Charlie Merritt. I am the executive director and co-founder of Stand Up For Me, which is a nonprofit that services people with paralysis and helps them with assistive technology to become more independent. I also work as a vendor with the VA, contracted to help out the spinal cord injury centers throughout the country and provide veterans with the same sort of technology as I do with my nonprofit. I'm a U.S. Marine Corps veteran, Twitch streamer, professional speaker, which doesn't seem like that right now, but I do that sometimes. And I'm just happy to be here, and I appreciate you all letting me be a part of this. And it's not obvious, but I'm also a quadriplegic at the C3 level, so below my shoulders. But I can do this is what I can do. So yeah, I'm a C3 complete quadriplegic. That's why I have this big thing on my face. It is not a microphone. It's how I use my computer.
And you game with that?
I do. Yeah, it's called a quad stick. It's a sip and puff sensor. So it allows me to blow into it or draw from it. And that moves air across sensors that are mapped to key bindings in the game. And then it's like a single axis, like a single joystick, like one thumbstick at a time. So yeah, it lets me game. I'm actually a professional gamer. I game with an organization and team called Nerve Gaming, which is sponsored by United Spinal. And they're out of Atlanta. Well, that chapter is out of Atlanta, and we are currently waiting for a second round of funding so we can do some more cool stuff.
Excellent.
Oh, and I stream on Twitch with WarriorGMR. I'm one of the co-hosts for our community talks.
Yeah, and it's
I'm
awesome
very proud
too.
to be a part of it. All right,
Okay.
Michaela. Woo.
Yeah. So to follow that up, I'm another co-host of Warrior Gamer. My name is Michaela Wilson. I am a U.S. Navy veteran. I did about seven and a half years before I decided to separate and pursue a different career field, which is esports management. I graduate in 11 days with my bachelor's degree for esports management and then a minor in business management. And my goal is to land in a career field of journalism where I focus on female representation in the esports community, as they are struggling with a lot right now. And any articles or videos or podcasts or anything I can put out to help raise awareness of some of the struggles that they're facing right now is, my ideal goal. My wife and I stream on Twitch in our side time, and then I pretty much just take care of my zoo on the daily. And yeah, I'm a big nerd, huge nerd. I don't know if you guys have seen the new Super Mario Bros. Movie. It was awesome, but that's me in a nutshell. So thank you.
And
Awesome.
you're graduating from
Shenandoah University.
That's right. Excellent. A great partner of ours.
It's a fantastic university. I could not speak highly enough of it. All the professors there are the most supportive faculty I've ever had the opportunity to work with. And I've been to 4 universities now, so they're amazing.
Top notch. So, hey everybody, my name is Eric Gemfee, and I also am a co-host of our Warrior Gamer Twitch stream. Air Force veteran. Did 4 years in the Air Force in McConnell Air Force Base in Kansas, aircrew flight equipment, and now I'm out here in Virginia. Currently, I am doing Tier 2 operations for the Army esports team, and I do a stream also on Wednesday with my friend Justin, Brick by Brick Vets. And I do some other things in esports because I wanted to get more knowledge about it, being out of the gaming industry for a long time. So I hooked up with Vera Pro, and I'm a VP for their esports operations. And for Shenandoah University, I do esports program ambassador for outreach, planning trips to Thailand and doing different things like that. So, in a nutshell, that's pretty much what I encompass.
Is everybody in a nutshell besides me? Justin, get inside the nutshell, bro.
Come on, Justin.
As y'all can see, very tough act to follow here. I love my co-host. I am also a co-host on Warrior Gamer. I am a former U.S. Army 11 Bravo, disabled veteran. It was something a passion of mine. I pursued that throughout most of my life. I did that for 20 years. I went on into instruction within academies and teaching people in the first responder area, security, tactics, stuff like that, special, unit teams. And I loved it. And so once I retired, I found that you always need, basically a passion. You can't just stop in life. You always got to keep going. You got to keep going at the thing. And Warrior Gamer absolutely provided that path. As Eric spoke about, Brick by Brick Vets and co-owner with me in that as well. It's very similar. Working to utilize VA assets, help veterans for veteran causes. It gave me the secondary passion. So I will be graduating as well with a bachelor's in esports management, as Michaela and Eric said, with a minor in business administration. But that went on to something bigger than myself. And I've met all these wonderful individuals you see surrounded by me here. And I've had that opportunity to pursue that secondary passion and then provide that to other people as well. Insight within the esports community and what drives us. So that's it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we are like super amazingly thrilled to have all of you here. And everyone should be familiar with April and Bilal, who's been watching the show. But April, if you want to refresh some folks' memories, that would be great. And the role that you play.
Yeah, super. Thank you so much. I'm lucky enough to get to spend every Tuesday with these awesome folks. My name's April Welch. I'm the Associate Vice President for Strategic Initiatives at the Illinois Institute of Technology. I also run our esports program. We've got 13 different titles, 100 athletes, and over 1,200 in our Discord. We're one of our oldest programs that offer scholarships. My job as an administrator has been to sort of make the case to folks who don't quite understand esports yet that esports is the great, it's the great, I don't know what the proper word is that says bringing
bridges the gap.
everybody together.
Yeah.
But it's a uniter, I guess. It's a great uniter. And I think that's my favorite part of this work and this space is that gamers are so honest and so confident and so courageous and using gaming as a pathway to mental health, a pathway to stability when it's not there, and finding a way to really connect our whole life to what you can do in game and out of game. I think that's one of my favorite parts about it. I'm also in school. I'm studying for my PhD in esports, exploring the intersection of esports, tech education, and digital labor. So I'm really excited to be here. I hope that wasn't over 30 seconds, Ken.
Oh, that's great. And don't be too shy too. You can tell people about the prize money that you're racking up over there, So
We've got people that have paid off their student loans. We've got kids in the top 100. We definitely are teaching folks how to make this profitable.
That's awesome.
right.
One of the things we talk a lot about on this podcast is the legitimization of esports in all sectors of life. So to see April working on the collegiate aspect, it just brings a smile to my face, as you can see. My role in this, I'm a second-year med student, a lifelong gamer, and I've always been interested in the intersection of games, physical health, and mental health. And as we're seeing, especially within the last 5 to 10 years, there's definitely an intersection. And there's a lot of unaddressed needs in the gaming community that need to be tackled, right? And I believe that I have the skills, the knowledge, and the passion to do so. And Warrior Gamer was one such passion. In fact, this podcast was my attempt at trying to get the message out there. And because of our wonderful team here, Ken and April, this podcast has blossomed. It continues to blossom. We keep getting more episodes, more cool people, more amazing topics that really aren't discussed a lot in the greater gaming community, and I don't plan on stopping, so I hope you don't plan on stopping listening.
And he's totally said blossom. I don't know if you guys saw
Caught
picked
it.
that up. So yeah, you caught that. Okay, good. Yeah, he's got it. So as the audience can tell, we have a grand slam cast of characters here. Who are not only established authorities in esports and gaming, but they're building the industry's future here. And you can see where we have 3 folks from Shenandoah University. Shenandoah really has just leaned so far forward, their noses touching the ground, on esports and gaming and technology, quite frankly. Very impressive, these silos of excellence, and what's happening is universities and organizations across the planet are looking to, to April and Shenandoah, to what are the major movers and shakers doing, and we're just going to emulate that. It's so incredibly exciting to watch.
Yeah, I was getting on if I just asked everybody here game for the most part, lifelong gamers. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. And
They
has
already know.
I think it's interesting. I don't know if you mind me. Can I mention something?
Yeah, man,
Absolutely.
go rock and roll.
So Charlie, he's in Apex, right? He's working professionally as an esports athlete, and that's interesting to me. Is I found myself in a similar position. I think a lot of us who had spent time as lifelong gamers maybe didn't see this growing up. Especially my parents were always like, "This will never go anywhere." It's kind of I always want to be in the military, but and realize it might take somewhere. And I accidentally fell into becoming a sponsored top athlete or esports athlete by accident. And that was kind of a breaking moment for me, make or break moment, I would say. And so I think that passion for gaming, is just like this huge divide where people don't quite understand. There's a huge difference between the business of esports and what gaming is for entertainment at the end of the day. And so this is just a massively evolving business. And I was really fortunate to be brought into all this to identify, being able to see the opportunity that is coming in within this industry. It's just amazing.
Well, what's really cool is so I used gaming to recover from a traumatic brain injury. Like I forced my insurance company to buy me an Xbox Connect. And I gamed from when I was little, and I played SimCity and Civilization, all this stuff. And my life is literally like I am like playing those games. Like I've built a Civilization app for the Department of Defense. And like it's just how amazing how games have pretty much like guided our lives. And every single one of our guests we've had was like, so what game did you play when you were younger? And we could draw direct correlations between the games that they played when they were little and what they're doing in life right now, which is really cool. And not everyone who's going to watch is going to be a pro like you guys, right? But they could be someone who's
I use that term loosely.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly, right?
I'm
But they could
definitely
be
no
using
pro.
it to get better. Or they're a parent. We've had a parent on here who kids were gaming. She wasn't a gamer. And we're like, no. Don't poo-poo it. Like you're creating a superhuman here. So I'm very interested in you all's perspective on the use of gaming, out in the wild, without it being in the pro,
I can take this one for action if you guys don't mind.
Yeah.
So my grandmother was actually diagnosed with osteoporosis and Parkinson's a few years ago. And if you guys aren't familiar with Parkinson's, what you do is, you shake uncontrollably, which is the opposite of Huntington's, I believe it is when you go to use a motor function is when you shake. Parkinson's, you shake continuously. And, my grandma she's, my number one fan of my life, and I love her more than anything. And she was like, I wish that gaming had been around when I was younger. And I was like, Graham, you play Candy Crush, like you're a gamer, you're a mobile gamer.
Mhm.
And so it was kind of cool because that was like a bucket list item that she didn't realize that she had achieved in life. But she uses Candy Crush to, kind of point and click, and like it forces her to try and steady her hand so she can make the matches in the game. So it helps her work on like her motor functions and, things like that. And then I think a few years ago, they tried to do Just Dance, and she could like use her arms in the background, which I know a lot of nursing homes are getting into to help the elderly, stay active. Is they'll bring in video games that require you to move, like how Wii Fit used to be a big thing, and then now you have all the games on the Switch. But I don't think people understand that gaming is for everybody. Like I have so many friends I've met online that I talk to all the time now. And, we're all different orientations, we're all different skin colors, but like it doesn't matter because we love gaming. And then you have like children who, one of my family members has a daughter with Asperger's, and they literally told her, buy a video game console and it will teach her how to move her eyes without moving her head. And so
Wow.
there's video games out there that do so much for people like the elderly, people with disabilities. Like, I mean, you said it helped you with brain injury. And I feel like people are failing to understand that it's not like, oh, you're a gamer, like you're a nerd, you're not going to go anywhere in life. It's like, no, like games are helping fix people, whether it's physically, it's mentally, it's socially, like it's bridging this huge gap. And people need to understand that this is the future. And this is a huge growth in our social setting, and it's just going to get bigger.
Who else? I know someone else got something great to
I'll
contribute.
jump
Yeah.
back in there real quick. I'll give you, I 100% agree with Michaela on that. Like that hits hard. And when we're talking about our fellow doctors and doctorates in here earning doctorates in niche areas, I have identified specific target areas that need to be tailored to. We'll give you some practical and tactical applications for the audience, and I'll try to avoid using terminology we might not all understand, but other people might not. So, where I saw potential in the world was within augmented reality, virtual reality, simulation. There is actually study after study after study, and I can attest to this with my own experience, that gamers that had gone on from an early age, just as many athletes do and different people in different fields that learned something from a very young age, or had, like I had a TBI as well, that helped me out, developed, had that really affected me. But later on in life, I would utilize game to improve cognitive function, hand-eye coordination. On average, it's like 25 to 30% faster hand-eye coordination, muscle memory, reflex, those coordination skills. And so you start getting into not just gaming, but beyond that, in the business of as an esports, or even in the simulated field, you're talking about iRacing, which simulates driving in an actual like cockpit. There's good ones that simulate flying like in a cockpit. There's like a story of like a 17-year-old kid came in and won NASCAR, and he wasn't even able to get his license until he could get it. But there are many applications. And so out to even government entities, if you think about it this way, if you could apply many of these aspects, these faster hand-eye coordinations, these muscle motor cortexes, right? And you're applying these skill sets, and you introduce them into a very real, I'm telling you from experience, if you get into AR, VR tech, that augments reality, virtual reality, there is some serious leaps into the future that are going to be happening that will help out first responders and multiple different groups within job sets that will reduce casualty rates, that are going to lower numbers, that are going to increase de-escalation of violence, of a lot of different things that you could put people through training programs. So there's so much more to unpack with this. And the field list is just massively growing exponentially every day. And so the use cases for it, from the medical field to you name it, is literally out there. Like, it just blows my mind, even thinking about.
Well, it's like what
Yeah.
you said with the flight simulator, where one of my father figures, he has like literally a whole cockpit and everything in his house, and he has flight simulator downloaded on his computer, and you walk through step by step how to fly every single aircraft you can imagine. Like, you have to flip the switches in order, you have to make sure you pull the lift lever at the right time, and like there's so much that goes into it. And AI it's gonna help in flight school down the line. Like, I know it's going to. Absolutely.
This is great, because I had notes written down that I wanted to talk about this exact subject today. And it reminds me of episode 5 with Sam Glassenberg, who is CEO. I actually had dinner with him about 2 weeks ago, and I'm helping him get into the DoD by doing exactly that, creating games to do first. Remember Self-Aid and Buddy Care, where we had the dummy, and I mean, it was like a 2-day thing back in the 90s, like it was like a big deal. Now you just click a couple things and I'm like, dude, if I'm somewhere and I need someone to do this to me and they click through this crap, like, they're not going to save my life. So yeah, this is happening, that especially in extended reality, like you're hitting everything. That's very exciting.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
Sam is
yeah.
from Chicago, and Sam is absolutely amazing. If you didn't see our episode 5, please go back and see it. And that really is, I think, the future. Gaming is amazing, and it's in the funness of, ogres and trolls and Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter, but it's also really cool in the space of training policemen not to be so spooked when the language is just different. When one kid says a few words that mean something to somebody from Chicago South Side that means something completely different to somebody from Wisconsin. But yeah, there's Sam's website. Sam, he came to our Tech to the Future event, and his games, what they do is they allow doctors to practice in real time before they go into surgery. They can do these same surgical procedures over and over and over, and they can earn continuing education credit for leveling up on his games. And he was actually challenged by his dad. His whole family are doctors.
Yeah.
And he was a gamer guy, and he was challenged to, hey, just do something for me, make one game for my doctor friends. And Sam didn't want to have to send it to each and every doctor friend, so he posted it, and it got 100,000 doctors like in the course of like a week or something.
A
Sam, I
mad
think it's a week,
genius.
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
pretty crazy.
That's crazy.
So I want to ask the brain trust here. We have this discussion in my community, in the government, on where we want to take and where we think AI and gaming will progress us. And my question for you is, in the realm of medicine, where do you think gaming is going to start getting just massive traction? And can you sort of predict a little bit, just for us, try to build a visualization for us on what you see in the future? Charlie, I'm very interested actually for you, and a question for you is, how has gaming been an impact for you, post condition?
So the impact for me, after I broke my neck, I saw, what was the word for it? Some people say I suffered a spinal cord injury, but I read somebody said it a different way. Anyways, I was like, that sounds like a better way to say it, and I totally forgot. But yeah, so I had a traumatic spinal cord injury in 2014 August, and I was in the hospital for like 9 months or something. And after I got out of the hospital, I still owned and operated a business, still had a family to take care of or to be a supporting member of, and still had vacations I wanted to take, family and friends I wanted to hang out with. And I had to figure out a way to facilitate my work life so I could make money to do all these other things. And I had started out with, they had issued me from the VA. They kind of have like a bundle they give you if you're a quadriplegic. So I got like a Surface Pro, Dragon Dictate, and a mount for the computer to go on my wheelchair. And I was like, okay, this is cool. So I spent a year talking to my computer. Like if you've never used Dragon Dictate, it's a pain to navigate stuff. Yeah. And after that year, I had received a quad stick from the VA as well, and I was like very. I was scared to use it, honestly. It was overwhelming. It was like, wow, if I start using these devices that are meant for handicapped people, I must be really handicapped, kind of thing. And I pushed through that because I had this this drive to support my family and to keep my company going and stuff like that. So I went back and I was like, you know what? If I can make this enjoyable to learn, and I could find, like, I was a Warcraft player like before I was injured. So I was like, maybe I can hook it up with Warcraft, learn how to use it. I'll have some fun. And that kind of started me on this path of, one, learning this device that I now use for like 15 hours a day when I'm sitting in front of my computer, to Oh, I lost my train of thought. Oh, the brain trust is farting right now. I'm talking about me, right? So it's
Yeah,
like
you're
it's just
good.
other stuff.
You're
Yeah,
on your
the
quad stick,
impact.
Charlie.
Yeah. So I had to learn the quad stick. I picked gaming back up because I didn't think it was a thing for me anymore. And being able to game allowed me to use the quad stick. So I started making friends, like we do when we game, we're like in the chat and whatever else. And somebody was like, "Hey, why'd you run off that way like randomly?" I was like, "Well, I'm using this thing, with my mouth. I'm a quadriplegic." And she was like, "That is freaking awesome. You should stream that on Twitch if you want to raise awareness for it or advocate for it." And I was like, "What's Twitch?" And this is probably 7 or 8 years ago. So I looked it up, created an account, started streaming. Right around the same time as a buddy of mine, Rocky No Hands, who's the #1 Fortnite streamer on TikTok. He's got like 400,000 views a day. He's right above Ninja, he also uses a quad stick. And we started not advocating like directly, but by using it and people emulating that and seeing that, they were able to like tell their family members that had paralysis, "Hey, I saw this guy using this, or I saw this person using that." And that became a passion of mine. So I literally shut down my business that I had and decided that I was going to, because of how long I stayed at the VA, I just knew all the therapy teams there and stuff. And I knew the vendor system when I was an outpatient was horrid because it took me forever to get anything. And I was like, there's a better way to do it. So I used my own experience to create a niche within the VA, to basically sell them the same items that they were providing me. So, and along with that, do it better than the vendors that are doing it now, and actually be a resident expert in the things that I'm providing to our veterans that are, suffering these injuries. And that really has gone a long way. We work with probably 15 or 20 VAs now. But it helped me get back, and I've been gaming. I used to play Mario Kart and Madden like it was my job when I was in high school, and probably every other game. I had like all the gaming systems. I even had like a 3DO, which nobody's ever heard of. But I was into it, and at the same time, I was a starter on the football team. I played baseball in like the city league. I wasn't just stuck in my house playing video games, which is the stigma, right? It's
Right.
like, oh, well, you're just like in your mom's basement playing games all day, picking zits or whatever. That's not the deal. I mean, we literally fast forward to 2023. I'm surrounded by people that have degrees in esports. Like, if you want to legitimize something, turn it into a college degree, right? You can't get much more legitimate than that besides making money doing it. And the reason why that's a legitimizer is we live in the United States, and that's a lot of how we rank people. So it's like, oh, what's your salary? What's your job? What's your this? That's kind of part of our introductions. We're all about what we do, what our education is. So being able to add that we're doing things in the gaming environment totally gives it so much footing that it already has. I think you were saying, Kenneth, before we started, or somebody was, it makes more money than like every other sport or something. Like,
it's more than movies and music.
More than movies and music.
That's right.
Which is
Huge.
crazy.
There's games that are getting like crowdfunding that are more than the budget of the most successful movies that are going on.
Right, so like the money that is spent on Guardians of the Galaxy is being crowdsourced for the next new game. I mean, it's not going anywhere. I love it because of the community, which it has its negatives and positives like any community, but it allows me to equalize or normalize who I am physically, so I can get into a game and people either think, this guy's a quadriplegic or he's really bad. And I just go, you don't know who I am. So I can kind of I can play with everybody until they know me. They don't know whether or not, because I'm playing on a similar level. So it's like, they don't know if anything's wrong with me or not, unless I bring it up. So it's nice to be able to do that and to use it as as a platform for me and my mental health, and as a part of like a whole mindfulness thing, and a whole like self-care thing, where gaming is a big portion of that for me. And it allows me to do things like we're doing now. We've come together as we're all over the age of 8. We're all adults. Ken, you're Lieutenant Colonel in the
Yeah.
Air Force. I mean, we're all retired veterans. We've all served our country or are serving our country. And we're like, if there's somebody that I would trust that would tell me like gaming's a good thing for you, it would be this group of people.
For sure. And Bilal, if you remember episode 18 with Derek Herrera,
Yep.
where I mean, it's the same story. And, you know, we talked to Derek, and you guys can watch it, but like when he came out of the Marine, and he was just like, I have to push on, I have to continue on. And he started companies serving just like what you're doing, serving people like him, because it's not a moneymaker for companies, right? And I
No.
cannot stress to people who are watching on how hard of a decision it is to not choose victim mode. You know, like I absolutely commend the hell out of you, man, on like doing that. And you're just like the model American. And I'm just like, I'm totally honored and think it's just awesome, dude.
Well, hopefully I answered most of your question. I feel like sometimes I
Wow.
wander off in my talking, and I'm like, did I actually answer the question? Like, so
give me the future though, and you're gonna have to truncate now because everyone else needs a turn. But give me the future of gaming and esports that can drive tremendous impact in medicine and even mental health, if you want to attach it to.
So there has to be a shift in the paradigm that is currently out there, specifically with the VA. In my experience, at least over the last 5 years, they've come a little bit more loose with the purse strings when it comes to gaming stuff, quote unquote. I'm doing air quotes, but I can't. So literally like 5 years ago, if I put Xbox controller, even if it was an adaptive thing, on a quote or like talk to a therapist, they're like, oh, we can't call it an Xbox controller, or the prosthetics agent or the contracting agent won't pay for it. So now it's, and I think I've probably been a part of the solution to this problem. We're able to do that without like all these bells and whistles going off that gaming's not a therapy. And especially when they're sitting next to the music therapist office, the art therapist office. And it's like, well, why can't gaming be included in that? And it's becoming more and more included. And I literally, that's what I do every day, is provide these tools, one for someone to be productive. And that's what I usually lead with, because I want people to be successful. I want them to take these tools and freaking no holes barred, go forward into life. So that's kind of what my impact through gaming is. So I've used gaming to make that impact. So I can take a veteran with a spinal cord injury, give him a quad stick, give her a quad stick, and next thing you know, they're running their own business. And these are like things that actually happen. They're, back in the community, they're talking to people. So it really reintegrates. And I think for my experience, that's the best part of gaming. It really helps to reintegrate people who have had challenging or traumatic experiences back into a regular society kind of vibe, if that makes sense.
Oh, that's great, man. Yeah, and I appreciate that. And I asked Bilal to pull up. So for
There's my buddy Rocky
see.
right there. He's the number one quad stick guy. I always tell him I'm number 2. I tell him I'm happy with number 2. He's got like 3 Guinness World Records for like most kills in all these different games.
Oh my God.
But yeah, he's a sight to behold for sure. He says he lost his 2 front teeth using the quad stick, because like that's how feverishly he plays,
Wow.
I don't know about that. Oh, there's me too. I go by quad capable. I'm actually right there.
Quad capable.
And my that's my YouTube channel. I don't want to go in there. Oh, that's me.
Well, that's pretty awesome. And so Michaela, what do you think, the future of esports and gaming can have an impact on medicine?
I honestly don't think there's really like any bounds to what
Mm.
esports and gaming can achieve in the medicine community. I mean, you had someone on who literally created an app where doctors can practice surgery. I mean, that we wouldn't have even thought about that, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. And then, it's like they have all of these new interactive apps and like gaming consoles and all these things that like the elderly can use to like help them, stay active. Like look at Skyrim grandma. I mean, she was literally just a grandma who liked playing Skyrim, and she is now like has a huge following on YouTube and Twitch. And, it's like she became the grandma that some people didn't have. And, in terms of medicine, it's like, I don't know if any of you guys watch anime, but they have like Otherworld, anime where like they dive into it, where like they put on a helmet and then they're transported to like another world. It's kind of like Ready Player One, but with anime. And it's like, I see us eventually achieving something on that level where it's like we're going to eventually get into like a virtual reality. And, it's like within the virtual reality, like what is going to be, the end of it? Like, where is it going to stop? What advancements, like when is advancements going to stop? And I mean, you can look at the machines that we've created that do surgery themselves, or like people control like joysticks to do surgery on like a more minuscule level that surgeons struggle with. And it's constantly evolving with ways to like practice to get better at medicine. I know like a neurologist will actually game to better their hand-eye coordination. And then there was an app recently created where apparently only neurologists can beat it, but you have to like drop a coin between like 2 blocks, and it's like next to impossible. But I guess neurologists are one of the few people that can actually beat the game by
That's
getting
incredible.
the coin to perfectly drop between
Like the
them.
first neurologist I had failed that game.
But it's just medicine. It's I don't know how to answer that question, because to me, I don't see an end in the advancements we're going to make. I really don't, because people are creative. They're never going to stop being creative. And then with the advancements in technology we're having alongside the advancements in gaming, people are just going to continue to find creative ways to link the two and make new inventions.
This is incredible. I threw up while you were talking the YouTube channel for Shirley Curry, 1.2 million subscribers and 2,000 videos. Oh my God, that's incredible.
Yep.
Yep,
I'm
that's
blown
it.
away.
That's
SAO.
Sword Art Online, man.
Sword Art
That's where it
Online.
all started. It started a whole new genre.
It's a very popular genre too. I do watch a few animes.
So what is this? What are we looking at now?
This is Sword Art
So
Online.
yeah, so this is Sword Art Online, and he essentially puts on this helmet, and it
Nerf gear.
transports him, Nerf gear, thank you. And then it transports him into another world where the basis of the anime is the game gets hacked, and then their intelligence gets locked inside this new world. And if they die in the AI game, they die in real life.
Oh,
And
There's a
so it
show
was-
out there that's like that right now. They just came out on
Oh.
Amazon.
yeah.
There's a
and,
lot.
well, there's the Netflix one too. It was like,
But they like put that thing on their
Alice in what-
head,
Alice
and they
in
go to like a different
Borderlands?
world.
That was a good
Alice in
one.
Borderland. Yes,
Yep.
great show.
But that's
I have to watch that.
that's not AI.
Right.
So I'm not going to give any spoilers.
That's not the one I'm talking about, you nerds.
But yeah, so Sword Art Online basically started this whole like world of, artificially created worlds where you can smell things, you can taste things. And it's connected usually through the implementation of a helmet. Then you have one called Overlord, where the servers are getting shut down, and then he basically falls asleep before the servers shut down, and then he wakes up and he's still in the game, but he can't log out. So Sword Art Online, in my opinion, was kind of like a play on, if we get to this level, what are the consequences?
wow, that was 10 years ago. I think.
They
that-
Yeah.
did this in Hunter x
Oh.
Hunter too. I'm also a big anime girl.
Oh,
I'm like,
okay,
Right.
okay. Hunter,
Let's
Hunter, let's
unite.
go. Let's go.
Oh, you
Hunter.
nerds.
They had a game arc in Hunter x Hunter
Yes,
that was
they
very
did.
similar.
They
and,
did. Oh, I love the game arc.
The peripheral. That's what I was talking about.
I was going to tell you, Ken, one of the things there was in, I think 2011, I popped it in the chat. There was a biology problem that scientists just failed at, big pharma failed at. And they finally, as a last ditch effort, said, well, let's see what these gamers can do. And they solved it in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I
If you
remember
see that.
this.
You remember that?
This actually is what I wanted to talk about tonight. I
Oh.
wanted us to evolve into this once
Oh,
we get through
fantastic.
everybody. Yeah,
Yeah,
this
it's
is
like
good.
when your kids play Cooking Mama and then they, like, know how to put a hamburger together when they come in the kitchen and you're like, I don't think I've ever shown you a hamburger before. And they're like, no, you put the lettuce here and then tomato and then yeah.
So funny.
They don't even know they're learning like a life skill, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
All right, Eric, what do you think? Talk to me.
All right. Well, I mean, a lot has been said already. I think there's a lot to be said about acceptance, worldwide acceptance. I think about 10, 15 years ago, people were kind of putting gaming and like the negative effects of shooters, COD, and different things as like the reason why people are going to do, mass shootings or school shootings and stuff like that. I remember my mom was like, why do you play San Andreas, Grand Theft Auto stuff? And I think it's
Warrior
evolved now
Gamer
to where
Headquarters
we kind of detach
podcast.
those two.
Out.
It's like we kind of see that, hey, gaming is actually good. And no, if you play COD doesn't mean you're going to go do X, Y, and Z. So I think on the medical side, once things are more accepted, I think we'll have more programs being implemented. One example was through the VA. I was accepted for the esports program, and my good friend Justin here, his rep didn't really say that was a thing until he saw that I was already accepted for the program, because I convinced my rep that, hey, this is a actual real degree and this is a career path that I can go, and it's actually legit. And that intel was accepted on Justin's side. So I think in a lot of things, just having whatever it is accepted, generally will help further the progress of it. I know the VA, they're doing a lot of things with like holistic medicine, like massage therapy, acupuncture, and things like that, which I use. And now we're trying to like do a foray into esports. And I think they want to kind of dip their toes in it, what me and Justin are doing. And it's like, hey, is this something that is really viable? And the more that engagement that we're getting, through even Warrior Gamer and all these other organizations, they're like, okay, this is something that's actually really helping people. And I think the more and more exposure that this gets, the better it is to actually push it forward. And I think it's just a matter of time. I mean, this isn't slowing down, it's only getting faster and stronger and better. That, the military branches all have a esports team now. We all have a gaming team, and the VA and is starting to recognize it. So I think it's just a matter of time before this is actually like a therapeutic thing, to where people are like, hey, there's music therapy, there's this therapy, there's gaming therapy, let's do this type of therapy. And I think it's just going to be implemented in its own way.
Awesome. What say you?
It's definitely being implemented in spinal cord centers for sure. Tampa has a room, like literally has like a bunch of gaming stuff in it. And that's all the rec
Right.
therapist does. That's actually how I got to be got introduced to Josh and the whole Warrior Gamer deal. Was he reached out to Jamie Kaplan in Tampa, one of the recreational therapists who believes in gaming, as a treatment, as a therapy, and has since gone on to host gaming events under the umbrella of James A. Haley Veterans Hospital, which you wouldn't have seen several years ago. They would have been afraid to put their name on it, where it's like, and they were still 2 years ago, well, we don't want you to play Call of Duty on that. You can play Apex because it's like a cartoon shooting another cartoon, but Call of Duty is just way too realistic.
Still a
It wasn't
cartoon.
until recently that they started like kind of allowing the Call of Duties to come in there.
I will tell you, I
Um,
was at James A. Haley when they were building that new facility, and I had that Xbox Connect, and it was like
I was there in
people-
2015, 2014, 2015. I was in the
Ah.
spinal cord rehab. I was in the trach unit, and then I was in the rehab unit. But Jamie, I mean, that guy, he's who I've worked with to branch out to Richmond, another spinal cord center. Minneapolis, another spinal cord. Well, these are all like assistive technology hubs, which is kind of where it's all stemming from. But it kind of started with Jamie, and I've brought other hospitals online that have no idea. Like their therapists don't even know like 90% of the stuff exists that will help their veteran or their patient live a better life, decrease the burden on their caregivers, increase independence, improve mental health, all these things. Come from basically playing video games.
All right. What do you think, Justin?
Yeah, no, I absolutely. As everybody here,
Justin, was that like a low key bully right there?
No,
Am I being too like long winded, bro?
No, actually, you guys all covered the points in my segue, which was like really, really perfect. Actually, Ken, you covered by pulling up on the screen, and so if the viewers could see that, you want to go back and review it after, because all this is off the cuff. And I appreciate it that way. That's why we always stream, and the podcasts are always done. But there's a really good point that I'd already been thinking in my head. We all think at 100 miles an hour as gamers and esports people, but where does this fit in with medical field, right? And where is this going in the world? Well, in the world of business, if you saw any of those faces, if you saw in a lot of those areas, you would have noticed that. Just Google it. I'm not gonna have to get into names of companies or names or anything like that, but if you look in any financial index fund and you look at the top 10, the top 5, you're going to see the acquisition is happening in every major title, every major company. They are scooping them up for a reason. Then within the doctorate field, the medical field, not only is it something that if you're a parent, you're looking into your child's life, gaming and esports can be, the entirety of it revolves around the way we socially interact today. So last night I was on Quest 2, MetaQuest 2. And I gave a friend that I have been probably best friends with in gaming, spoke with 5 hours a day, it's probably 5 days a week, gave him a hug. He gave me the bird first, of course, so we saw each other. But first thing we did was we gave a hug, and we were in the same room together, and it was insane. And I have plane tickets to go out and see him in June, which is amazing. But if you're looking at your kids wanting to socially interact and build their social skills, looking at that way, veterans, I cannot go on enough about the connections that I have within my veteran community, and whether they're doing it for entertainment value or de-stress. Sometimes we don't even get to the gaming part because we talk about our stuff in a chat. As you see all the head shaking, it's the big relation there. But down to below, like, here's the thing. In esports, it's legitimized sports in many countries. We need medicine in that field because it's extremely strenuous as a job. And so that can take a huge toll on you, but if you're training for that, but there's so many different aspects to it that we discussed in its entirety throughout this entire cast, that if you look throughout the growth of it within the industry, the impact on humans in general is massive. And I'll just leave you with this. You talked a lot about the medical implications, neurologists and what they're able to do, right? If you look at humans as a whole, we're very basic and specific. And one thing I think we all level on is that we tend to gravitate towards things that give us value of food, entertainment, things like that. If you can produce the same or better results with a hive mind mentalities we were getting into or whatever, and you could produce something at, say, a neurological level in study, as opposed to somebody who may not adjust very well to reading through a book or wanting to read or wanting to study that way, but it could do it in real life time. As April had spoken earlier, I worked in the policing field. I advocated all day to get training because if you can respond virtually to traumatic things all the time, you get that hands-on experience. So as a medical technician, as an EMT, you may just save in 1 extra life, 2 extra lives, 100 extra life, thousands. If you multiply this, it's exponentially massive. So it's coming, as I said in the beginning, and to end that, it's just if you can put those pieces of the puzzle together, you see where I'm going. I hope that kind of sums it up.
It wasn't short at all.
It was not. And I kind of went off there. I did a little bit, but I'll tell you what, I hope that made sense.
Made perfect sense.
That was good.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I have students that come from all over the world, and so many of them tell me they would not have acclimated to American culture without gaming, without being, their first friends were the others on their team. The first community they connected with was the gamers around them. They play Dota 2 at home, so they play Dota 2 here. They play, playing is so important. It's such a release and such a, Plato said it was a spiritual experience to play, to be able to engage and release release the burden of trying to accomplish something that has depth and gravity. So I think you're 100% right, Justin, that the true value is the social component that brings people together and makes them feel valued and brings connection.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
So, okay, great. Now this is great segue. It's a great conversation. Like every episode is just incredible. So, the thing that April was talking about earlier was Fold It was this game, and the scientists were trying to figure out the structure of a retrovirus enzyme whose configuration had stumped scientists for more than a decade. The gamers achieved their discovery by playing Fold It, an online game that allows players to collaborate. Oh, okay. There you go. Someone thank you, whoever did that. Appreciate that. Yeah. So I'm curious the impact. Like I don't remember exactly like what, I guess, the design of the retroviral drugs like this came out of this these gamers solving this is we were able to create retroviral drugs for AIDS, right? I think I got that right. So this is like a huge deal, man. And so something that like really hits me when I see like kids who are suffering from some kind of like disease, right? That it's just like, we can solve this, man. Like, we're just not focused. We're building aircraft carriers and all this nonsense. $3 billion. I mean, I look at budgets in the government and I'm just like, oh my God, 16 million for like dung beetles. And like, we're just not focused, in my personal opinion, enough on like solving things that cause people pain. And so I'm curious if you all could think about maybe even specific problems that you think, if we focus hard enough and let the gaming community crack in this and actually build a game that was kick-ass, that actually solved a problem, like what would be the problem that we would solve, and how do you think that we'd be able to create so that we could solve it? I don't know. Did that make sense?
Absolutely.
Pretty loaded question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think like when you look at like CRISPR and everything, and there's a successor to CRISPR too, that escapes my memory right now. But like going into and figuring out DNA and what's happening there and being able to like manipulate DNA somehow so that the body just heals itself, I think is like a big area. If that gives a,
Are we talking like nanotechnology?
what? Yeah, girl, talk. Let's go. Rip it up. Rip it up.
Okay,
Talk to me.
okay.
Educate me.
So essentially there is there's a book. I actually have it behind me. I can't remember who writes it. But it's basically called the Scythe series, and in it, the world is controlled by an AI known as the Cloud or the Thunderhead or Thunderdome or something like that. And every single human being is injected with what are called like nanobites, and they're kind of like molecular level, like little AI bots basically, and it can control everything from like depression levels to like if you get a cold, it can like release what you need to like get your blood cell count back up and like help your white cells out and all that stuff. And so a lot of scientists are like, can nanotechnology like actually happen to where we can have like something in us that's in our bloodstream that can actually counteract viruses and cancer and things like that. But to answer your question, I think what I would want gamers to try and figure out in the medical community is the wiring of the brain. I want to figure out how the nervous system works, how when the brain fires, the hand responds immediately. Like if we could learn to track that and then the exact pinpoint of what controls what, we could help so many people. So it's like if you have, like you can't move your arm anymore because your brain just doesn't recognize that your arm's there. If we can have, a gaming specialist or whatever be able to map that and be like, this exact part on the brain or this exact part in the nervous system will re-trigger that arm to work or set. Because if you think about it, our nervous system is basically, it's a map, right? But the brain is the one we can't nail down. We can't figure out the pathway. So if we can somehow figure out how to map all of that specifically and what controls what, I think we would be in business.
Awesome.
Then Ken, I would follow that up with it's what we need to do is just what you said. We need to change the way we attack problem solving. And we need to be like the Borg. Michaela will know what the Borg is. And create systems that we can all contribute our best strengths together. We've been training superhumans to problem solve with gaming for all of these years. So if we frame the grand challenges of engineering, I just popped the link in the chat. How do you get to clean water? How do you solve poverty? How do you solve food crises across the globe, not just in one country, but everywhere? How do you connect people in ways where it makes sense? If we could reformat the question in a way that it's challenging and in a way that it's fun and in a way that gamers can grasp and really contribute to the solving of these problems, I think that would be just absolutely amazing. So if I had your funding, your 16 million for the dung beetles, I would take that. I would take that.
I need to start selling
revamp the
dung beetles.
question. Right?
Charlie's already, he's over there drafting plans.
I've already Googled which, how I can import them from Brazil or wherever they live at.
Okay, first of all,
The
16
dung
million.
pasture.
16 million is ridiculous. I don't know if you guys have
That's
ever
like 5
raised
dung beetles if I
insects.
was selling them to the government.
No,
Let's go.
no. If you've ever raised insects, it is not that
You
difficult.
want a dozen? That's
It
like
is
35 million.
I don't know
Maybe
what
we
they're
can make
spending
some
16 million
artificial
on.
dung beetles.
Michaela, don't ruin my dung beetle dreams.
I'm sorry, man. I've raised insects before. It is not that difficult.
But yeah,
It
that's
is.
what I would do, Ken. I would reformat these grand questions in the form of a game and make it so that it's collaborative and that people all around the world can contribute. And then the solutions can be vetted and aligned. That alignment is what's missing. And that's what lets people solve the questions.
Yeah, it sounds a lot like blockchain or crypto, where there's millions of computers around the world, pushing out a Bitcoin. So having that amount of gamers playing a specific game that they may or may not understand to be producing some sort of output for whatever kind of health modality or whatever might be out there. And it reminds me of have anybody seen the show Severance? It's a show where you take a pill when you go to work so that you forget your home life. And when you go home, you forget your work life. So it totally separates the two. But what they do is they go into this room with 4 computers and they stare at screens that kind of get blurry every once in a while. And they kind of have to sense it. And then they press a button. And that creates some sort of downstream somewhere, some sort of action is made. So I see it like that, people playing Call of Duty, but the more people that go to a buy station produces some sort of AI output that is, learning based off that, or producing some kind of I don't even know what to call it, medical kind of thing, you're saying, DNA and figuring out brain waves and nervous systems and all this other stuff. It could be doing that on the back end, and we're just churning the wheel that powers
So
it.
fascinating. That is such an amazing idea. I see what you're saying, man. And that so it's a game, but there's some kind of machination that's in the game.
Yeah, it's you're in the Matrix. You don't know you're in
Yeah.
the Matrix, but you're actually contributing to the overall betterment of whatever your civilization is. I guess the Matrix, you just don't know it's not yours. It's
That's how products have been successful in the past, and these other studies and these other games that have solved these problems, right? So if you identify specifically what we were talking about earlier, if you look at anything that is in gaming, right? So many things become popular by accident, but we should follow those trends. Like zombies, for an example, was an Easter egg. And for those of you who don't understand out there who might be watching, an Easter egg is like something within the game that a coder may hide. It could be in a movie. It could be anything. It's just like you think about the holiday maybe and finding something. So people who find these Easter eggs, or people are, and generally speaking, when they find a problem, they're problem solvers. They like to figure out how something works. So if you can provide them with basically any structure of a successful title or something similar, if you can put together the algorithm in the actual gaming structure that you want people to work towards with an output that promotes towards your endeavor, your business, or whatever it may be, you will get people who will work on this day and night. And if you look at the history of that within gaming, Easter eggs specifically, things like that, there are people that have been studying and trying to crack these codes for 10 years. You do that and you make that an initiative and you put it out there, you don't hide it, and you put it towards a good cause, people come together. Just imagine taking even 1% of the human mind in the entire capacity of the human civilization, putting it together to solve a problem. And that's why we get these results that we do get.
Right.
You know what I mean? Attach that to any top title and literally you're gonna get some crazy results out of that.
What I have here on the screen is one such example of where gaming can be applied. And when we talked about figuring out retroviruses, but have you noticed, if you've ever watched TV, you're noticing a lot of drugs have these very strange names like adalimumab, panitumumab, right? These mAbs,
I take a lot of
tabs,
those.
they're like all over the place. This didn't used to be there. I mean, the biggest one that I can think of is trastuzumab, which is for breast cancer. These are designer drugs, by the way. People are actively designing the molecules, designing the structures that are then being targeted on specific receptors for specific health conditions. And we're seeing this in our advertisements every day. This is an example of that retrovirus game, of that Fold It, but it's now being sold to the masses. Now imagine if gaming could be used here. I mean, we're just looking at the possibilities. I mean, they're happening right in front of us, and we just might not even know it.
I think our non-player characters are a huge opportunity. Just, again, I know we all are. So like in Ready Player One, the challenge from the company was he was, putting people through their trials to identify the best person with empathy, with, he had a whole list of things he was
For
looking
NPCs,
for.
non-player characters for people out there. So like the computer people that you interact with in gaming.
I'm sure I can learn something from those
Yes.
Warcraft people that were handing quests out. You know what I mean?
To say the same
Like,
things.
Why am
over
I
and
really
over and
shearing
over.
these sheep, bro? Like, well, the economy depends on the wool that we export to, whatever.
The
Like, maybe you
dung
could
beetles.
taught me a little something.
I think they're going to be the first I think they're going to sneak up and get conscious on us. Because so many people interact with them. I think they're going to, as we keep developing these games, I think those are going to be some of the very first places where we start saying, what, did that AI just say something completely unscripted?
Oh yeah, NPCs are getting crazy.
Well, I mean, look
Oh
at
yeah, that would be super cool. Like
Red
it's
Dead
AI
Redemption.
influence, like how the NPC interacts with the player character,
Yeah.
based on like your previous, whatever you've
Yeah.
done in the game. And you'd be like, oh yeah, I saw you on last week. What's up? Why haven't you logged in a week?
Right.
Animal
They'll
Crossing,
start
how dare
missing
you?
It's funny too. Look how many, when we were talking about simulations. Look how many game titles between all of us that you see: Farming Simulator, Engine Mechanic Simulator, insert any pretty basic. There's just any
Semi
title
truck
out there.
driver, what's that one?
Yeah, they're literally like.
There's people that
it's
play that
insane.
like it's life. They have like
Yeah.
a whole, like they have one of those beds for like a toddler that's shaped like a semi truck, and they got like their steering wheel in it, and they're just like Jake braking and freaking backing it up. It's like
But learning
okay.
actual skills, learning actual titles.
Yeah, and they're actually learning how to drive an
Yeah.
18-wheeler. Like they could probably
Yeah.
hop in one and
Super
drive it down the
fast.
road.
Reminds me of like Neo in the Matrix when he's like uploading in the chair for the first time when he's on the Nebuchadnezzar, you know what I mean? And they put it in and he starts learning Kung Fu and everything
Yeah.
else. That's actually practical to how we do learn so unbelievably quick. I mean, I hadn't played COD
I would say
in 2
without Mario
years
Kart, my first go-kart experience would have been scary.
and- Dude.
And actually, they just
It's
mapped
good.
all of Chicago
A good
for
way to jump
NASCAR.
into something without actually doing it.
Yeah, so like as you were saying, like the mapping technology is crazy because
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed, they literally
Oh,
do
yeah.
scans of entire
Mhm.
land areas and then upload that into the game map. And there's a game, I can't remember which Assassin's Creed game it is, but there was a guy who was traveling in Italy and he got lost. And he literally was able to help his party get back to the rest of them because he played Assassin's Creed, because they did a
That's
direct
awesome.
scan of a certain part of Italy.
They did, and
That's
they've done
insane.
Egypt.
Yeah,
They've
I had to
done
learn how to use a compass.
Yep, Egypt, they've
Yeah, right?
done
Yeah.
Switzerland, they've done
The
so
bank probably
many.
came from Zelda or something that I learned. That.
Was amazing.
NASCAR is doing our own cities. Like they just scanned Chicago for a virtual race, and now this summer they're doing a physical race on the virtual track that they scanned a few years ago. So, and they're paying people as much to drive the virtual cars as they are earning, to get to drive the physical cars.
Didn't that start up in COVID when they started doing the virtual racing? Okay,
Yeah.
I thought so, yeah, because that took off like really well during COVID for them, which
Yeah.
was crazy. And they were like, we actually made more money during the virtual races because more people tuned in to watch. And I was like,
Yeah.
what?
And they bet they've got fantasy, fantasy on
Mhm.
NASCAR, just like fantasy
Yep.
on everything else.
Charlie, I
Was
thought
that
it
the
fun.
Black Mirror episode where they put couples together and gave them like, you're gonna break
Yeah.
up in 12 weeks,
Yeah,
what?
it was. It was
and then they get in a fight and it'd be like
Yes.
10 weeks.
it was
they get
such
another
a
fight,
crazy
6 weeks.
episode.
That episode
That's
was
the
amazing.
one. You saw my post, Charlie.
I did, yeah.
Someone
I
actually
that
love
made
stands
that
Black
out.
Mirror.
You said somebody made that app?
Yeah, somebody. It's
way.
called Juliet.
What?
Sorry, what's
Oh
it
my
called?
gosh, that Juliet.
Juliet.
Wow.
I give
just-
all
I
mine
just
3
Googled it.
months and then kaputs.
One of my favorite Black Mirrors is when they train the little home AI, and the home AI gets lonely, and they break the spirit of the home AI. Do you guys know which one I'm talking about?
Yes,
I have to
okay.
watch
It's
that one.
because
They
of that
break the
episode.
spirit.
It's
I
because
can,
of that
I can
episode.
imagine
I
my
say
Alexa.
sorry.
I could probably break her spirit
No,
if I worked on it.
I apologize to Alexa because of that episode. I'm so nice to her now.
I threw my Alexa in the garbage.
Yeah, my Alexa gets a little bratty
Me too.
sometimes, but
Piece of crap. It's totally useless, especially now that I've been using ChatGPT for 7 months.
Oh, that's scary good.
You can't talk to
Scary.
somebody's
yeah,
got to write all
scary
those
good.
big government reports.
Yeah, man. I've used it so
Please
much.
write budget for fiscal year 2023 beetle consumption or what? Well, we're doing dung beetle purchases and procurements. Then you get a 60-page document with it basically says nothing.
Yeah, Ken, if you give me even a fraction of that, I'll build a gaming system that answers the big questions.
I'll give you
It
double amount of the
poses
beetles for half of that.
Not stopping about those
I'll set up a
Beatles.
whole farm. I could do it for less.
But I was part of this thing called Prodigy Works, and like they would get like these crazy smart, just like talented people, random. There'd be like 12 of us, and a company would come in and go, "Hey, this is really hard problem, and no one in the company can figure it out." So they would hire this Prodigy Works, and they'd go, "Okay, just throw it at your people." I mean, we had like musicians, we had like, people. I was like the athlete, and like, they get someone from everywhere that was like really, yeah, here it is, like, yeah, Mensa people. I mean, some of these people are incredible, and there's like, hey, solve this problem. And so I totally see where you guys are going, where it's like, let's use like the AI and us as humans in the game to go after these yeah. I was on one of these. I'm not allowed to tell who I was with, but yeah, like this is like the future of problem solving, where you just throw it at a bunch of smart people, create the game, and you augment it with large language models and AI. And I mean, the stuff I come up with in ChatGPT is unbelievable. Like if you know how to use it, like holy cow, you could do some pretty crazy stuff.
All you got to do is word it correctly.
Yeah, you got to work and you got to coach it. Sometimes it's like, I'm
Yep.
an AI model. I can't do it. No, yes, you can. Shut up. You can do it. Come on, keep
It
going, keep going,
teaches
keep
you
going.
while you teach it too, yeah, I realized that I was like such the last to get on board. And then when I finally, it was like within 30 seconds, I was on it. I was hooked. I was like, this makes sense. And I would use it and I'd be like, okay, I didn't articulate myself well enough. And it would tell me why. And you'd re-input the input and the output would come out 10 times better. And it's so much faster than insert top search engine. It's like,
I was
I think we
talking to
should make
the-
a company. Oh, sorry, April. Go ahead. Go for it.
I was just going to say, Rohit, one of the creator of Alexa, is one of our alumni, and I got the joy to talk to him and our dean of college of computing, and we were talking about AI and ChatGPT and the future, and both of them think education is going to have to really regroup and change, and our challenge, the way that the questions that we ask of people are going to have to change. The way we assess people are going to have to change. We're going to have to find a way to incorporate these tools. It's sort of like the time when, people were questioning, do you let them use a computer or not? Do they really learn to add if they had the computer?
Calculator.
Mhm.
I think you took my biggest point there of all the entire night that I could say education is going to change.
Yeah.
It
We'll
has
watch
to.
it in our lifetimes. It is going the education system, and I hope it should. And I'm saying that nicely, but I'm saying it that it would be beneficial in the fact that when we implement these things in the way people want to learn, and we can put that to our children that need to learn in different ways and apply that, that growth factor, the people that would be able to be on that like a panel like Prodigy, you're gonna, because Ken, you mentioned it, like intelligence comes in all different forms. It is not the 1950s IQ test that we're talking about here. I mean, you can't tell me that an individual who can throw a ball in a specific curve on a specific line every single freaking time is any less intelligent than an individual who can solve maybe a physics problem or might be able to write a classical piece of music. You know what I mean? So that intelligence is tapping into that. You apply that into the educational system and these tools that we have at our hand. And now you are lightning speed teaching people things that aren't going to need to take a quarter of their lifetime to be professional at, if I'm being honest. And that's kind of the way I see it going,
Well, it's funny you bring that up. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I just dream of the day where I could have 6 GPTs in a room and we all talking to each other, like we're just brainstorming. So that's all I was going to say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What are you going to say, Michaela?
Oh, I was basically going to say that when you brought up like education with video games with children, it's funny because when I was younger, I don't know if you guys have ever played Harvest Moon, but it's kind of like a farm life simulator type deal, but not.
Like Stardew Valley?
Yeah, very much so like Stardew Valley. And it literally helped teach me how to add and subtract when I was a kid, because I had to keep track of like, oh, well, if I grow this many cabbages and, sell it, like how much gold am I going to make? And then can I afford to buy a cow? Or like how many cabbages do I have to sell to buy my cow or whatever? And my mom was like, how are you getting so good at math? Because like she would help me with my homework and stuff. But I showed her like my, back then we only had pen and paper, and I showed her my paper that was like covered with math of like my carrots and my cabbages and like milk and like all this other stuff. And that's where I really like perfected my adding and subtracting skills when I was in school, because Harvest Moon's been out for, I think it first dropped in like the 70s is when it first came out.
So the opposite of that, I actually use my like college degree business stuff to like own the auction house in World of Warcraft.
Yep.
So like market strategies,
Auction house, man. Yeah.
SWOT analyses, like supply and demand. Like, yeah, I mean, so we can use it both ways. It goes both ways.
That's
It does.
awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
World of Warcraft is the best business school that you will ever go to.
That's
Oh
so
my
true.
God.
Auction house,
Facts.
real.
I hate the auction
The real
house.
eBay. Hey, but moral to parents out there, more carrot, less stick.
Absolutely. And that's what I mean when I say it's got to change. And like one of the grand challenges is personalized learning. So you skip the stuff they already know. You give them a real reason to be needing to add and subtract, and,
Yeah.
and a real reason to.
Yeah, she had
know
me on the twisted bop it thing where you had to like do your math
Oh, yeah.
within a certain amount of time. And I was like, this sucks. And she was like, it's a game, it's fun. And I was like, no. And then she
This is
found
my
out I
kind
was
of
learning
game.
all of it from Harvest Moon. And I was like, get rid of the twisted bop it. I hate this thing. I probably
think
just dated myself.
yeah, I think the new generation is just going to totally change the way
Oh,
they're going to
RuneScape.
learn. Oh, RuneScape, yeah.
Oh,
Because
both.
like just the way people are going to have to implement AI into their everyday life, it's going to be a commonplace. Just like how encyclopedias used to be the Google, and then Google came around, and then now there's ChatGPT. Like it's just going to continue to evolve. So it's like not necessarily how fast can you like memorize something to where it was an encyclopedia to where now it's in Google. Now it's like how quickly and how articulate can you tell AI what to do and how to solve said problem. And it's just
Absolutely.
going to be a part of your life, and you're going to have to really leverage it. And the people still have a skill set, but utilize the tool of the AI to leverage and upgrade their skill set to finish their job.
There's a ton of leverage in that. It's totally it's funny you
Thank
said
you for
that too.
closing that, because I was about. One of my friends just got me into RuneScape, and I didn't realize it had like an auction thing. And I hate it. I started playing. I'm like, these graphics suck. I'm like doing the same grind I did in Warcraft, but like I'm level 1. And yeah, now that I know they have an auction house, I actually get more involved with it.
Yeah, the Grand Exchange.
Don't start Neverwinter.
That's where miracles happen.
Don't start Neverwinter.
Don't start
do it.
Neverwinter.
Don't
That
do
auction
it.
house is wild.
Oh, don't tell me about other auction
And
houses.
actually, some of the blockchain games are what kept people in the Philippines in food and housing over the
Pay to earn.
pandemic. Like Axie
Facts.
Infinity, those games.
I ran with an esports team down, a couple of individuals that I ran an esports team straight up. Eric remembers this.
Yep, I
out of the
remember you told me.
straight up.
Yep.
And it was a pay to earn game. And these kids, like they were from they were hungry for it. And that was an amazing experience. I got to say that, because I got to know them on a personal level, and saw what they came from and why they were working so hard to do this. They loved it. And these kids that like would never normally have had a shot because they didn't have access to a PC or something, but the having access to mobile, having access to that opportunity changed their lives. And so, yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of that coming in the future as well. That's huge.
Yeah, that's where
say,
I would
look at-
say the mobile games that can take advantage of the differential in the in the money markets across the globe. So like also in India, there's some really amazing real games that you earn real money from, that it's just growing like skyrockets right now.
Absolutely. It's kind of crazy to think about it.
I use one. I use an app that I make money off of playing games. I think I've made $40 at this point, and that's just like logging on to do my dailies, and then I'm done. And I mean, it's $40, but it's games that I like to play, because if you do it to just make money, it becomes annoying. But if it's games you enjoy playing, you just log on, and the more you play, the more money you make. But it's like dailies, $40 over 6 months, that's $40. So
yeah, the Thetan Arena was a big one down there in the Philippines, and they haven't figured out the exact market yet, because I think they can use Charlie's analytics, and I myself too, I'd say an auction house, because that's a big part of the gaming part of that. And it was those two games you mentioned, we mentioned Axie Infinity and Thetan Arena. They were amazing games, such in the fact that my wife, who has touched probably 3 games in her life, that was one of them. She loved it. And so we'd play side by side, and she absolutely loved it. So it wasn't just like it was an actual amazing game to play on mobile. You know what I mean? And these guys were earning money doing it. It's live every day.
And they could earn enough monthly to live. which would,
Yeah.
they say, they people who couldn't go out and work could earn. So they had like shopkeeper. There's a documentary. I'm going to try to find it for you about a little senior citizen couple in the Philippines.
Yeah, these got the fellows that were on my team were making double what they were making a month working as and one of them was working for a very large company that I can't mention, but he worked as a multilingual specialist in customer service, and he doubled his salary playing that game. And I told him, whatever you do, don't quit. And he's like, oh, I need to quit. And I'm like, no, you're half my age. And I'm telling you right now, it's not ready yet. You're doing great. Keep going, but keep with this. It'll happen. And so he did. And he's doing very well now. But yeah, that was amazing to see making double as a hustle on the side playing video game.
Yes.
Look at some of these things. It's crazy.
Oh, you got my link?
Yeah, I do some of them. I'm not gonna lie.
Like the surveys and stuff.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
the surveys, like the $20 survey is a lie. Because half the ones that give you $20, you get to question 3 and it's like, oh, sorry, you don't qualify for the survey. But yeah, you can make, I mean, if you sit there and grind it out for 8 hours a day, you can make like an extra $100 a day, probably.
And it all relates back into what we're talking about. And it's like using the hive mind remotely to access, to do things we want to do, to continue forward. Because most people don't tend to jump into things like that if they're not already inclined to do so. So it's kind of identifying that, like you said earlier, Ken, like, let's make this is like, it's a no-brainer, when it comes to these things. And that's why all the top dogs are getting into it, snapping all this stuff up.
Yeah, I do believe so. And we started this kind of conversation with cash flow and money flow, and we are closing it up on it too. So there is a lot about money in this industry, and it is very influential. What's this? Oh, yeah, okay.
And yep, that's just a little short documentary. That's not the one I was looking for, but there's one that I will share with you later, Ken, so you can add it.
Okay.
That really showcases the growth in mobile is gonna change the world in terms of what we can do and what we can convert and how we play together.
Yeah, that's what they're showing there. I don't know. It's being from a third world country or somewhere without opportunity that was just changing people's lives overnight just by the fact that they could download a game to earn. So
yes.
Oh yeah, I mean $40 somewhere, developing country. That's nothing to shake a stick at.
That's your rent, in some places.
But it was also keeping some of these kids out of the streets too.
Yeah.
Like I said, I got in very in tune with them and realized that how dangerous some of their lives were and what they had to live with every day or go without, you know what I mean? It was crazy and difficult to watch. And the fact that they were inside in a safe place, could provide them Wi-Fi and security, was like a really good aspect that felt really good, So, I mean, I'm sure their parents didn't understand it just like our parents didn't, at the time, but it's insane.
I played Madden with my dad all the time, so he understood it. My dad understood.
Well, I have to split. It's laid over by me, but you guys are more welcome to, you're more than welcome to stay on here if you want. Bilal, April, you guys think you're gonna stay on for a little bit more?
We follow your lead, Ken. Whatever you want to do.
We're good.
All right. Yeah, I got kiddos, and then I have to train in the morning.
We appreciate you guys having
this
us
was
on.
fun.
Thank you
I had
so
a really
much for
good
having us
time.
on.
Thank you.
Yeah, catch us every Thursday at 8 p.m. or 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Warrior Gamer or GMR1 on Twitch for the community talks. Just to shout that out, Josh would slap me in the face if one of us didn't say that.
We want to thank Josh for bringing us all together and for these awesome t-shirts.
Let's go.
Yeah.
They look
Yeah.
so cool.
The other team's waiting on their t-shirts, Josh.
Yeah, we're waiting.
Josh, where's my jersey?
I was asked, like, somebody asked me what my size was. Josh asked me what my size was. Like, I don't know. I feel like it was 6 months ago. He's like, I got your jersey, bro. And I'm like, okay. And still jerseyless.
Mm.
I get on
But
him.
usually when I put it into the air for Josh, he'll smack it back down. He'll, like, in a good way. Like, he's like, serve it up. I'll take care of it.
Well, he'll be at my house on Thursday, so I won't let him out until.
Just be like,
There we go.
hey man, we need his jersey.
Yeah,
Charlie
well,
said
no,
to
we
get
need to
them jerseys out.
represent.
Yeah.
I make him sleep with my kiddos. Like, this is what you get. They're missing their jerseys. Quit messing
Sleeping
around.
in a little
Hey,
toddler bed.
You guys have the kiddie table at Sunday dinner when you're a kid? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Gosh, you're sitting over there at this. Get to sit down there.
Go use a little potty. We have these little potties like that big. That's yours.
Glad that you're here. Now you ain't use the big toilet. That's for the big people.
Yep.
That's for adults.
Yeah. Use the wipes.
You got to
too.
use the little one
wipes.
that's got the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on the side of it.
That's right. Yep, that's right. Well, I love you guys. It's a great time, your family. And if there's anything that you need from me or I can help with, please reach out to actually, that goes for anybody, because we're here to help folks. And because we are the product of people helping us. And we're just really, I think I speak for everybody, that we're just here to give back because we've received so much. So
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Let's keep this collab
What's the
going.
point of knowledge if you can't share it?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Sure, somebody said that, but I don't know who it was. It was
That's
me.
right.
If it was nobody else,
There we
coined
go.
that. I coined that for me.
exactly. All right. Well, I am out. And
Thanks, Ken.
I'm gonna go ahead.
Yeah.
You want me to leave it up going or what?
I'm a roll too. I don't know if I'm
Yeah, I
Okay.
gotta go.
All right, I'll kill
I
it.
just want to ask
It's
Bilal
a
one
cascade.
question.
It's a
if you don't
domino
mind.
effect.
And April,
All right.
if you don't mind if I grab you too for just
Yeah,
literally
go.
just a
Yeah.
couple minutes.
Bilal, you
Yeah,
know
no
what
Warrior Gamer Headquarters Podcast. Out.